Hello everyone, and welcome to my review for Kengan Omega Chapter 157. I wanted to do a reaction to this week's chapter, but I was out of the house and busy, so just didn't really have an opportunity to. And besides, it didn't seem like it was really a chapter I would be able to get a really good reaction out of. So here we are today, doing a review, talking about it in hindsight. This will probably be a little shorter, because I don't think there was like a ton of information to go over from this week's chapter, but we'll see what I can get out of it. So, the primary focus of the chapter, like most of the chapter, is focusing on the start of the fight between G, who I'm going to try to start calling that now, because it's weird to call him by his last name, but then call Jan by his first name. It's strange. So, G, I'm going to call him that, and Jan, of course, we already know him as Jan. So, most of the chapter shows us the beginning of the fight between G and Koga, but the actual, important part of the chapter is going over a little bit more of G's internal monologuing and a little bit of his backstory. It turns out that the former head of the Worm was his and Jan's dad, and he had him assassinated with the expectation that he would become the new head. But Jan ended up getting picked to become the head instead by Shen. So once again, the head of the Worm is subservient to Shen. I'm thinking, the way it seems, like this got set up a few chapters ago when we had all this stuff with Shen and Jan. It seems like the Worm basically just exists as an extension of Shen. It exists to sort of achieve whatever goals he has, whatever his ultimate motivation is. And the head of the Worm is just sort of the person who manages it for him. They're basically like a manager. And Shen was like, yeah, Jan, you're the most qualified for the position. Fail as many times as you need to, and learn from the experiences. So once again, Shen being a really chill guy, which I like. So it seems like for, I don't know, most of his adult life, G has just not been able to fucking win. He just cannot catch a break. Every time something goes wrong for him, he cannot get his way. Which, I have to say, makes him rather relatable. Though, I feel like a lot of people are forgetting that G is supposed to be a villain, like he's a bad guy. There was someone on the Discord that was like, what was it? Oh yeah, he was like, why is all this bad stuff happening to me? And then we get another example of G doing terrible stuff, like how does he not know? Well, G is a villain, and he was also more of like a henchman villain. So he's not very self-aware, and he's hypocritical, and he's fucking evil. Did you all forget evil is on the move? G is supposed to be an evil person? Yeah. Speaking of people not understanding things, a lot of this chapter is Koga kind of beating up on G. And I know some people are not going to like that. Especially because in the last few chapters, G was kind of kicking the shit out of Okoya and Ryuki, who for a very long time have been much stronger than Koga. And so, once again, people are worried about us falling back into the pattern of Sandro hyping up the villain, and then them getting curb-stomped immediately. Or not necessarily curb-stomped, but just dying immediately, or losing immediately. I'm not really worried about that here. Like, I think Gia will probably lose to Koga, but I don't even know if I would say probably. I'd say it's like a 50-50. I'd say there's like decent reasoning for either side. It's stated in this chapter that G is stronger than Koga right now. I would say Koga in his current state is probably like a solid A tier fighter. Like he's pretty decent. But G is no longer terrified out of his mind like he was a few chapters ago. So he's no longer in his peak condition. The fight or flight response is not like at its absolute extreme levels. So G is not going all out right now, because he doesn't take Koga seriously. He doesn't view Koga as a threat. As the fight goes on, and Koga starts doing more damage to him, like he lands a couple sucker punches on him and shit, that's when Ji's survival instincts are gonna, get back up and going, and then he's probably gonna start turning the tables on Koga. That's how I imagine it's going to go. We don't get much allusion to Koga's fighting style in this chapter. I know there are a lot of people that are worried that he's been taught the Nico style. I think if Koga knows anything of the Nico style, it's probably very basic techniques. Like stuff Nico started his training with Oma with. Like here, this is how you do Indestructible. That would be the technique I would be least shocked to see Koga using as Indestructible, because it's just very useful for both offense and defense. I'm fairly confident the majority of Koga's fighting style is going to be based around karate or Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I'm not really worried about more Nico-style tomfoolery. Will probably be a little bit, but I'm not really that concerned about it. And also, no, I don't think Ji is gonna die. I don't think Ji's gonna die. He may get it. If he gets his ass beat, he's just gonna get taken into custody by the Kengan Association. Which, if I'm recalling, is pretty much what Shen and Yan expected to happen. They expected him to fail. That's why Ogi and Henjin are coming along, partially. Also because they just want to kill Ji because they view him as being a threat. So, I'm just I'm whatever. Listen, I'm along for the ride. I'm not, super worried about anything like this. This isn't something like with Faye or Lolong or Eddie where I'm like, oh god, if this doesn't go the way that I hope it does, we're gonna have serious problems. Nah, it's Ji, okay? I've never invested super heavily in Ji stocks. He was a joke character for most of Omega. I'm not super concerned about whether or not he wins or loses this fight. So we're just gonna see what happens. But with that, that's all for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Kengan Omega chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoy discussing Kengan Omega with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I will link that down in the description. And before we go, I might as well give a shout out to my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Archbear CJ2K, Neo, Dijon Redden, K-God, Chris Redfield, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Wave of Manga, Chuck Speed and Seed, Jake Sterizi, Play Free Labs, Kenichi Kaneda, Strawbones, Neverest, Daniel Powell, Brandon Smith, Abdullah Algathi, Charles C. Highland, and Corey Richardson. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at some point during videos or access to extra or early content, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.